Welcome to the Healthcare Plus podcast, hosted by Quint Studer and Dan Collard. I'm Nicole Webb-Bodie, partner at Healthcare Plus Solutions Group. Thank you for joining us as we bring together leaders and changemakers from across the healthcare industry. In each high-impact segment, you'll hear about the latest challenges organizations are facing and learn how guests are rewiring solutions to drive real change. Plus, you'll walk away from each episode with practical tools, techniques, and best practices to implement in your own role and in your organization. For more information on your host or to listen to recent episodes of the podcast, please visit www.healthcareplussg.com/podcast. Now, I'm pleased to welcome today's host, Dan Collard, who will introduce you to our next guest.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Dan Collard from HPSG, and this is another episode in a really fun series talking about a very special event that we have coming up in almost no time at all. Our conference called Rewiring Healthcare, Foundation to Future on April 28th and 29th. And of course, as we've been featuring all of our faculty for the conference on this series, it's my pleasure to welcome a very familiar face for many of you, and that's my colleague, Regina Shupe. Hey, Regina, how are you?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. This is going to be a fun couple of days in Atlanta. I'm so pleased that you're going to be on the main stage with us.
I'm so excited. I really am. Yeah.
Well, we took the theme of rewiring, which, of course, as many folks know, you've applied most recently in your brand new book called Rewiring the Emergency Department.
Yep.
And of course, that's just filled with good stuff. And we'll get to that topic in just a second. But we took the theme of rewiring and we thought, what could we do to apply it to the industry? But again, do it in such a way that folks that come to our conference walk away with stuff that's real practical, tactics that are very doable. And I'm just tickled because you have not only one opportunity to be on the stage and teach, but you have two. And so what I thought we would do is we just spend a couple of minutes on each of the topics. And for the very first one, I think this is just, I don't think the timing could be better. And that's the whole notion of rewiring the way we care for our team. I say this often, and people at first, they sort of look at me kind of funny. I say, sometimes we have to think about, were there gifts that the pandemic gave us? And I actually think this is one of those gifts because it sort of put a spotlight on how we really focus on the well-being of our team. So,
Right.
Regina, what do you have in store for our audience at our conference in April when it comes to rewiring the way we care for our team members?
Well, this is something that I am so incredibly passionate about. So I am thrilled to be able to speak on this topic. As we well know, I've been in healthcare for 4 decades, almost 4 decades, and I have worked alongside some of the most passionate people. And I don't mean just passionate, I mean strong, gritty, passionate people. So I don't think we lack any of that in healthcare. Um, but that comes at a cost for our caregivers, right? It can take its toll on us. And I think one of the gifts from the pandemic is teaching us how to rewire how we care for our caregivers. And so I'm going to go deep on this subject, and I did on my book in my book as well, because I think it's so important. So, for example, we have coached for years how we round on our employees to check in on them and make sure they have the tools and equipment to do their job. But what if we took it a couple layers deeper and really asked some questions to give us some good insight, and then couple that with solutions that we have in a toolkit already, right? In the form of things like our employee assistance programs, our code Lavenders or intentional pauses, or Schwartz Rounds where caregivers can be together talking. So we're going to just go deep on this subject and kind of really learn how to rewire the way we care for our caregivers.
I still remember the first day we talked about Schwartz Rounds, and it was a brand new term for me. I
Yes.
just said, I don't know, I've never heard that term.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun because you gave me the description of it. And I'm assuming at the, conference, you're gonna go into detail around that.
Yes.
And
Um,
then there we were with one of our new partner
mhm,
organizations, and I happened to mention it, and they just took and ran with it. They
right.
clearly have begun to implement Schwartz Rounds,
Yes.
in their environment, as well. So, new learning for me. It's always fun. You've been at this
Yes.
as long as you and I have been. It's always fun to learn something new.
Yes, exactly. And so a lot of this is nothing maybe too new for organizations, but it's just going a little bit deeper so that we could talk about how to really execute this. Because the first thing some of our caregivers will say is, no, 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 don't lavender me. I don't want any of that. Don't do that. And it's like, look, this is for your best interest. So I think this will be a great conversation to have.
Well, and you just reminded me, that's sort of our promise to our audience that attends the conferences that every single session will provide the audience some very specific how to's in such a way that we don't fill up their entire backpack with a bunch of heavy rocks by the
Right.
time they leave the conference, but really practical, pragmatic how
That's right.
to's as they walk away. So I'm excited to be in your audience for that
Yeah.
session. Now, later on day one, you're going to kind of bring us right to the center of where you are probably most known for in our industry, and that's the emergency department. And so
Yes.
you have deep background, deep skill,
Yes.
deep experience in the ED. And yet you looked up a couple months ago and said, I think it's time to bring some ideas together to talk about this theme of rewiring, very specific to the ED. Why don't we talk a little bit about that session as well?
Right. Yeah, as people will know, I am gonna drop the four-letter word, love, at the conference about the ED because sometimes people are like, "Are you seriously gonna tell me I gotta love people through things?" Well, maybe, maybe not, but we're gonna talk about that. How we give loving care, not only, again, to our patients, but to those caregivers caring for them. So that is, part of the topic. And we can't treat and street our way out of it. I've said that a couple times too. We have to have some really intentional flow strategies and a couple non negotiable goals that we set related to flow, um, like a door to bed time within 8 minutes, right? And let's say a 24-hour average. That means sometimes we're not even going to stop, right? We're taking them right to a bed. Um, so we're going to talk a lot about flow and how we really kind of rewire this flow. Um, to maximize the experience of the patient. Because I'm telling you, uh, one thing that we know for certain is that hasn't changed in 4 decades is patients don't want to wait. So we have to be great in our processes so we don't make them wait. So we're going to talk about that, talk about trust, and this concept of leadership development. They're going to hear precision leader development, obviously from our team, but we're going to talk about what type of leaders do we need in this day and age, and what is the skills that they need? We have a lot of new leaders. So, what are those things that we can prepare them and arm them with to make them very effective leaders? So, we will be talking about that in that session as well.
Well, the proof's always in the pudding. And I remember just recently getting a wonderful note from one of our partner CEOs, and she had just wrapped up a session with you as you began our work in an ED in that hospital.
Yes,
I loved what she said. She said, I have very high confidence that our patients are going to feel loved when they come through our ED. So it sort of rubs off on people, I think.
that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And, I think that's the other piece to this is that now organizations know now more than ever that it is an organizational wide strategy. The emergency department is. It's no longer, that's their problem down there. No, it's an organizational strategy, and that's what's starting to emerge again throughout the country, which is fantastic.
Well, this is going to be so much fun.
Yes.
I'm so encouraged. I'm just delighted by the early response to us announcing that the conference is going to take place, and I just can't tell you how grateful I am for you finding the time, making the time to come and share your wisdom with our audience there. So, Regina Shupe, thank you so much,
Thank you. Can't wait to see y'all.
and we'll see you all soon in April in Atlanta.
If you would like free resources and access to our latest books, articles, and industry insights, visit our website at healthcareplussg.com. We hope you'll join us next time as we continue our journey to make healthcare better for caregivers, patients, and communities.